So one thing I have been wanting to make is a cactus farm, and that's kind of for two reasons. One reason is because I have cactus, so might as well farm it. But to be fair, I really don't need that much cactus. But one thing that I can do with cactus is get more or less just an automatic bone meal farm, because I can have a cactus farm that farms cactus and then tosses the cactus into a hopper and then into a composter, and then pulls out the bone meal. Similar to how I have the composter down there, where I put any extra like seeds into the composter and get bone meal out. I can do the same with cactus. I don't particularly need a lot of bone meal, but I do think it would be fun to go ahead and build a farm, and so might as well. I've kind of been split about where I want to put it. One of my thoughts is to put it in here, but I think I might want to do like a little oasis type area in here at some point, so I don't really want to block it with a big old cactus farm. Don't really want to block the view from here, but I do want it to be kind of visible, so I think where I'm going to end up putting this is just kind of around the other side of this house, maybe somewhere back here. And I'll have a little cactus farm here, and then my other farms down there, and all up here, so I think that's probably what I'll end up going with. All right, so I'm starting off building this little 9x9 area, and the reason it's 9x9 is because when I place these buckets right in the corners, you'll notice that an interesting thing happens. It funnels all the water right to the middle, and then right here, we'll be placing a hopper. So this is where all the cactus is going to get funneled down to, right in the middle. And then on top of this, we'll be putting some dirt. Well, you have to place sand to place cactus. You can't just place cactus on dirt, unfortunately. So we'll be placing sand out here, and this doesn't break the funneling action. And then on top of these, we'll toss some cactus. So obviously we have a collection system for our cactus, but how much good does that do us? We'd still have to come in here and manually break it. But the nice thing is that if cactus grows next to a block, I don't know if it's every block or specifically a fence. I've seen a lot of these cactus farms and they seem to use fences for some reason, so there must be something that's up with fence. But if they grow next to a fence, then the cactus breaks and it will automatically drop, so you don't actually have to come in here and manually farm it. So we'll toss some fence posts up, and then we don't have to toss a fence post next to each one, because we can just toss one in between these two, and then we can toss a row between these two, just like we did over there. Obviously, I'll have to break these blocks at the end, but that's totally fine. I hadn't planned to basically show the whole process of building this, but as it turned out, it was pretty quick and easy to just go ahead and show the whole thing. So that's where we're at. Pretty nice to have these protection boots. This cactus can't do anything to me. Now, in theory, and we'll have to verify for sure, but in theory, when these things grow, the cactus will just drop down here into the water and get funneled over there. And then on top of this, I can build another one of the exact same thing. And right here's a little cactus farm proof of concept. You can see I've got 3 layers tall. I'm not sure how important it is to add water at each level. Right now, I just have it stacked up. I can see the case where it would be possible for a cactus, you know, to get destroyed and fall on top of one of these posts or something like that and not actually fall down into the water and get collected. So I may end up just filling in each of these layers. I already have to have the height here. Like, I already have to have the layer of dirt here so that the sand doesn't fall. So it wouldn't be too bad. It wouldn't add any additional height to just go ahead and fill out this level and then toss water and then just have all the water feed to the middle and fall into the same hopper. So I may end up doing that long term. We'll just have to see how this goes. So far, I have not had any cactus get harvested, so I'm gonna wait until I actually confirm that this does collect cactus before I pretty it up and consider adding the water there. But more or less, this is what it'll look like. You saw me build the first layer, and then each of the additional layers is just another layer. Without a floor, it was interesting kind of hopping from place to place, making sure I hit that 1-to-1 square, but other than that, each of the second and third layers was just the same as the first layer. So we'll see if it collects some cactus. Oh, it's like this guy has some cactus in his hand. Give me my cactus. I went ahead and added a few more layers. I think we're at like maybe 8 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers, if my counting's correct. As you can see, sometimes the cactus does land actually outside of the water. And sometimes the cactus also, it is possible for it to land on these fence posts, like you can see there. And I figured out that is why we use fence posts for causing the block to break. You could put any block there. It could be dirt, whatever cheap block you want to put there, cobblestone. But the downside is it has a smaller hitbox from the top, so it's more likely for cactus to land on it. Oh, there you see one drop there. Now, if I did split up, put a full layer at every layer and water in the corners and drop it to the middle, that would work and it wouldn't really matter what was up here. But the way this is, it just felt easier, and I'm not super worried about 100% efficiency. I will build up walls at some point, but I'm waiting until I have more glass so I can make it look nice, kind of greenhousey or modernish. But if we dive underneath, you can see this is the cactus from like 2 or 3 hours of just me doing stuff at the base while this thing runs. So there we can see some more waste. There can also be waste if a cactus hits a cactus, because the cactus will destroy the items as they're falling. But, you know, not 100% efficiency, but not worried about it. Like I mentioned, I don't really even need cactus, but just kind of a nice to have, and probably end up using it to get bone meal at some point. And the next farm I want to do is actually a sheep farm. So as we can see, I've got quite a few sheep out there, but I have to manually shear them. And there's a nice thing in Minecraft where if you put a dispenser with shears in it right next to a sheep, you can set up an observer to watch this block. So you set up an observer to watch this block. When the sheep eats the block, the observer triggers, causes shears to activate and shear the sheep, drops into a hopper minecart, into a chest, and then whenever the sheep eats the next block, it re-triggers that cycle until you're out of shears, basically, which easy to get shears with the iron farm. So I want to build a farm for that. The nice thing about that, similar to cactus, I don't really have a need for a lot of wool right now, but the nice thing is it's essentially infinite wool with no extra effort, and wool is a very colorful block, which is going to come in handy at some point. So I know I'm going to need wool. I might as well go ahead and make the farm. That way, as I'm just working on stuff around the base, the wool will accumulate. I'm not really sure where I want to put this. I kind of want to put it somewhere that's visible from the tower, visible from my house, visible as you approach my base. And I'm probably going to prioritize the visible as you approach the base, but I'm still really not sure exactly where I want to put it. Kind of thought about next to the carrot farm, so I have kind of farms over in this area. I've thought about maybe around the other side of the mountain, but that just seems so far removed away from, you know, where all the activity actually is. I could put it out here, and that may be what I end up going with, just as kind of a stopping point as you approach my base. I do want to make sure that it's within, you know, whatever 8 or 16 chunks of my main base, so as I'm working, it will be in range so that the farm continues to work. So yeah, we'll see where I end up putting this. All right, so I'm up here at my storage building gathering some supplies to make these little wool farming units. So I've got everything I need to make dispensers and observers and the bows for the dispensers. So I'm going to go ahead and craft these up real quick. And ironically, this will actually not quite... I won't be able to craft all 9 of these because my inventory can't hold them. But if we make our dispensers, ultimately we need 16 of each because there's 16 different colors of wool. Go ahead and make 16 of these, and then we can make some more bows as well. And there we've got the inventory space, and make the dispensers. And I only made 1 dropper accidentally, and the rest are dispensers, as they are supposed to be. So I'll top the dropper in there. And we've got our observers, we've got our dispensers, and then we've got the redstone we're gonna need. We're gonna also need glass, and then here we have some building blocks. I will go ahead and admit this will not be the most beautiful build just yet, but we'll get there eventually. Make some minecart tracks, and we're gonna have to make some minecarts as well, because we'll have a full block and we have to use a minecart with hopper in order to pull all the way through the block. And there we go. We got all our minecarts, we got all our hoppers. Now it's time to combine them into minecart with hopper. And this is just going to take some time. Shift clicking saves a lot of time here, though, I will say that. And then I actually think we're going to need some hoppers as well. And that should be all we need to get started, at least. All right, so now I think we got pretty much all the supplies we're going to need. This is not going to be the most beautiful just yet, but eventually I will make it more beautiful. This is going to be kind of more focused on the functional for now. I guess the one other thing I do need to grab is my glass. So I should have 32 glass here. Yep. Very nice. And I've got, okay, I would like to get my silk touch just in case I misplace glass. I can resolve that issue. So let's grab silk touch and toss our fortune. There we go. Very nice. And where I've decided I'm going to put this is kind of in front of my base over here. Pretty close to where it is now, actually. Just right over here. The area needs a little bit of terraforming, and actually I should go ahead and grab a iron shovel to do that. Unless I have a diamond shovel back at my base. And these cows are going to be loud, so I'm actually going to go ahead and turn down their noise. 1% is still pretty loud. But basically what I'm thinking is I'm going to make a little sheep area over here. And one of the primary motivations for this is because in order for the wool farm to work, it needs to be within 128 blocks of the player. And that's because random ticks, which this farm require the player to be within 128 blocks of it in order for those ticks to affect the blocks. And the way the random tick works is, you know, if you have a dirt block next to a grass block, there's a very small chance that that block will be triggered by a random tick and the grass will spread to that dirt block. But it only happens when it's near a player. So that's why I'm choosing to put it kind of over here near the base. And I want it to be something that people will see as they walk by, but not necessarily something that is right between me and the main spawn. So kind of settled on this area for that reason. Each of these units is going to be 4 blocks wide, and then we'll need room to walk, and then it'll be 4 blocks wide. So I think I need to dig in a little bit more over here. Alright, so I will go ahead and show how one of these breeder units work by grabbing one of each of these items that I need to build this. And let's see, toss some of that, toss one of those, toss one of those. Alright, so the way it works is we'll have a sheep, and this is the back of the building. So we'll have a sheep, and it'll be standing on one of these blocks. And every so often, this block will get a random tick. It will change from dirt to grass. And then the sheep on top of it will eat the grass and grow back its fur. When it grows back its fur, there's actually an observer that watches this block. So when the sheep eats the grass on this block changes. The observer sees it. The sheep grows its fur, and then a dispenser dispenses a pair of shears, which are right over here. Dispenses a pair of shears on the sheep, and that shears the sheep, causes the sheep to drop its wool, and then underneath there will be a little unit collecting it. All right, so we're gonna put the sheep here. I'm gonna go ahead and toss some glass to represent that this is where the sheep's gonna sit. And then we'll have an observer that is looking at that block. When the observer detects a change in this block, and you'll actually see, you see that light up red? That's when the observer detected a change there. So it sends a redstone signal, which will light up this redstone dust, as you can see there when I place and remove a block. And that redstone dust will then go into the dispenser. And I always forget which way the dispenser goes. It goes this way. And the dispenser will activate and dispense an item whenever this block updates. And the item that it's going to dispense is going to be shears. So for now, I'll just toss a block in there. See it spit it out. But when it uses shears, it actually shears the sheep, which is the goal. So it'll shear the sheep whenever it eats the grass. And yeah, that's basically how this works. So I'll go ahead and, well, I'll show the rest of it now too. So we can't use a hopper to pull through this block because a hopper won't pull from an entire block. So what we're going to do is we'll toss down a rail and then a hopper minecart. And the hopper minecart can pull from a block. So if we were to make this thing dispense, which, you know, it'll spit it out and it'll do it that way. But even if there's a block there, but even if there's a block there, when I place this block, you'll see it spit out and it'll go into the hopper minecart, which the hopper minecart is currently empty because everything goes down to the hopper. But if I remove that, it spits it out. Hopper minecart grabs it through the block and then it goes down to the hopper. So the collection system will be down there underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and build some more of these units and then we'll be good to go. All right, so now I went ahead and built each of these units. I have 16 total because there's 16 different colors of wool. And that is the easy part. As you can see, we've got 16 of these bad boys. They all look the same and they all are full of shears. And I mean, you can't see it, but beneath there's also the observer, of course, looking at the grass. And that brings us to the hard part, which is getting these sheep over here into these little units. And I think this is going to be a lot easier now that I know I can use the lead, but still, this is probably one of the hardest parts of doing one of these farms, is getting these sheep one by one into each of these one by one cells, because they really don't want to fall down a 2-block height, and you kind of have to push and pull them in. It can be tough, and we'll kind of see how this goes. I'll probably just let few of them out and let them roam free, and that way I can bring them over one by one, or if I grab some wheat I can lure a lot of them over first and then start leading them in one by one. some wheat. No, I might not have the wheat out yet just because that'll lure too many of them out. Let's get some of these guys over here. I don't really care about the colors because I can dye them afterwards. Come on. Get up here. There we go. Now the real question is, how do I get this lead off without teleporting the lead over here? Okay, got it. And since I have one in there, I'm going to go ahead and cover it up just so that they don't, you know, accidentally have another one fall in there. Grab you, little guy. Lock you in there. Interesting, the lead doesn't make a noise when it breaks, but maybe that's just because of my volume being turned down. And basically I just repeat this for a while. Got some villagers attacking while I'm out here, and it seems like I don't have any arrows, so hopefully some of them can drop some arrows for me. Wow, they've really been doing some damage. And then we got an omen too. Okay, we'll take it. Fun little detour. Come on over here, Mr. Sheep. I say to come on here, Mr. Sheep. All right, so now we have all the sheep in here, and as you'll notice, one interesting thing is on Java Edition, even if the sheep are colored, their head is always white when they have been sheared. So as you can see, a lot of these have been sheared, and so their head's white, which makes it kind of tough to tell what color they're actually dyed to be. Whereas in Bedrock, it actually, their head stays the same color as their actual coat, even once they're sheared. So as you can tell, you know, well, you can't really tell what color these are, but I'll just go ahead and tell you, I haven't dyed these yet. And I'll do that at some point in the future. But for now, I'll just get a lot of gray, black, and white and red wool, but I do need to go ahead and build the little under section where it actually uses the hopper minecarts to collect. So I'll go ahead and hop into that now. And then, so we've seen what it looks like up top. I'll go ahead and show what it looks like kind of all complete down below. So as you can see, we have the sensor and shearer system here in this line. So if we go down, you'll see here's where that sensor line is, and you know the sheep is just to the right of that. So right next to each of these sensors and shears, we'll toss a hopper, 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 because this is under the sheep. The torch is getting my way there. So we got the sheep over this, over that. And then on top of each of these hoppers, we'll toss a minecart rail. Doesn't matter which orientation you place it. I like to place it this way because most of your running will be here. And if you want to bump the minecart off, not really optimal, so toss them down like that. And then of course the minecart with hopper. We'll show these are currently empty, but when we toss this down, if there's anything up there, which there's not, they would fill up. So hopefully we should see, yep, there's some wool in there that's got collected, there's some wool there, there's some wool there. So they're just getting collected up above us. And then of course we have our other side right here. And as you can tell, it needs a lot of prettying up, but we'll do that in the future. And we can also, at some point, I'll also toss some double chests underneath each of these too. Because right now it could hold up to whatever, 64, well I guess 64 times 10, so 640 wool blocks. And I'll go ahead and ask the question, is it pretty? There is a correct answer, and that answer is not yet. So honestly, pretty short on time right now. I'm not going to be able to finish this whole thing up right now, but I will certainly come back to it, pretty this up. Kind of I'm kind of thinking of making it look like a little bit of a barn, so you can see the barn from out there and see what that looks like. I also need to pretty up the cactus farm still, so that will be something for a future episode. Right now we're just focusing on the functional, and that way we can go ahead and start collecting some wool, because I'll definitely have a use for it in a future episode. I'm also not going to dye the sheep yet, but that is something I will need to get to at some point, so we'll get there when we get there. And I'm not super happy to say it, but I will say it because it's true. That brings us to the end of episode 9 of Fantastic MC. I would have loved to make this look a lot nicer, and the same goes for the cactus farm, which you can see in the background, but unfortunately, I just don't have time to make these pretty just yet, so we'll have to follow up on that in a future episode. So with that said, if that's something you'd like to see, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. If you did like the video, make sure to give it a like so that other people will see it. And as always, if you have any comments or concerns, leave them down in the comment section below. As always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.